Coming up next on Rage, a ladies division encounter that is sure to be explosive. Crystal the Pistol Gabor, one-on-one against the Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington.
The next ladies division match is scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Coming down the aisle from Palatka, Florida, here's Crystal. Gabor.
Okay, now this is exciting to me. Georgia's wrestled a lot of matches against a lot of opponents, some more than once, but this is Georgia's first ever dust-up with multi-time champion Crystal Gabor. I'm definitely hot to see what Crystal does in this match against the stanky Yankee Rose. No matter who wins, Georgia is about to catch some serious physical abuse.
Crystal Gabor, definitely a master with the fists and feet, going to give Georgia Washington a difficult time. And here comes the big show-off.
She's beautiful. I'm talking about a Yankee Rose.
Her opponent from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, she is the Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington.
Are you ready for the new sensation?
And here she comes again, the Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington. And tonight, it's a first-time ever encounter against the multi-time women's champion, women's world champion, women's international champion, women's tag team champion, Crystal Gabor. And what is the Yankee Rose gonna make of a seasoned veteran like Crystal? I think most people wouldn't mind seeing Crystal eat Georgia Washington's lunch. Check out the enthusiastic nod from Christy Hovey, Martin. Wow. That's because Christy's got good taste like me. All right, well, Crystal Gabor and the Yankee Rose one-on-one. Referee Willie Johnson sounds the bell. They come center ring. They lock up Crystal Gabor with a kick and a DDT, taking Georgia down immediately, going for a cover. Wow, 1, 2, and a 2 count. Within 7 seconds, Crystal Gabor. Well, I'm not sure what that was about. Crystal blocked by Georgia Washington up against the ropes. Georgia sets her up. Rope-assisted vertical suplex from the Yankee Rose. Crystal Gabor on the canvas. Georgia Washington twisting the head and neck area of Crystal Gabor. Crystal slammed down. Georgia draws a knee into her head. Georgia Washington with the head scissors on Crystal Gabor. Crystal fights her way out, gets back up on her feet. The leopard skin beauty whips Georgia to the far corner. Crystal Gabor pitches her out towards center ring, makes her way up to the top rope. Whoa, look at this missile drop kick off the top rope from Crystal the Pistol Gabor. Crystal whips Georgia back into the far corner a second time, delivers a kick. Georgia counters with an elbow, escapes the corner. Crystal delivers a kick, puts her right back in again, pitches her out one more time. She's gonna go for it again. Off the top rope, amazing, another beautiful missile dropkick from Crystal Gabor. Georgia Washington laid out center ring. Crystal on the middle rope, look at this. Whoa, absolutely amazing. There's a cover, 1, and just a 1. Georgia Washington powering out of the pin, but that was astounding. Look at this. Rebound senton off the bottom rope from Crystal Gabor. Georgia Washington counters with a kick to the head, follows up with a stomp to the midsection. The Yankee Rose catches an elbow from Crystal. Crystal locks her up, kick to the midsection, and a DDT again. Crystal Gabor really beginning to open up on Georgia Washington. The former multi-time women's champion really taking it to the Yankee Rose. Georgia quickly escapes the corner. Crystal Gabor winds her up, another beautiful wraparound DDT from Crystal. A leg drop to the shoulder of the Yankee Rose. Georgia Washington in big time trouble here. Crystal Gabor going for the cover. One. Again, another near fall. The Yankee Rose not answering back offensively. Crystal Gabor firmly in control here. What a spinning slam from Crystal the Pistol. Rebound off the top rope. Beautiful moonsault. Crystal Gabor absolutely amazing. A stomp to the shoulder of Georgia Washington. And again, Crystal about to go air as Georgia Washington stands herself up. Crystal turns herself around and whoa! What a beautiful crossbody from Crystal the Pistol. Crystal Gabor really taking it to Georgia Washington at this point. Look at this. Beautiful wheelbarrow stunner from Crystal. Georgia Washington has yet to offer any serious offense. Here we go, a nice counter from the Yankee Rose. A kick to the chest of Crystal Gabor. And now it's Crystal on the canvas. Georgia Washington gathers her up to a standing position. A running kick that stuns the heck out of Crystal Gabor into the head scissor one more time. And a wrap on the head for Crystal Gabor as Georgia goes for the cover. 1, 2, another near fall in this ladies division matchup, and it has been a hot one so far. The Yankee Rose goes after Crystal Gabor here, setting it up, and here we go. Figure 4 leg lock, center ring with no ropes for Crystal. Look at the arch on the back on Georgia Washington, putting the pressure on the legs of Crystal Gabor. The referee checking Crystal. Georgia Washington absolutely unrelenting, releases the hold. Crystal Gabor counters, finds her way out. Crystal countered again by Georgia Washington. They lock up. Crystal Gabor taken down. A knee driven into the leg of Crystal Gabor. Followed up with a stomp to the back. The Yankee Rose. Locked up by Crystal Gabor. Another beautiful one-arm spinning slam from Crystal the Pistol. Crystal locks her up. And again a second time. Crystal Gabor equally unrelenting in her attack. Standing dropkick fails to find the mark. Georgia Washington counters with a kick to the midsection. Sets up the neckbreaker drop and nails it. Crystal Gabor in all kinds of pain. Georgia Washington starting to go to work here. Drives a knee into the back of Crystal Gabor. Crystal whipped to the rope, over the top rope and out onto the floor. Georgia Washington rolling right out after her. Crystal counters, gets back up on her feet. Georgia Washington in some trouble here. Georgia Washington being punished by, oh, look at this, Crystal Gabor being countered by Georgia Washington. They lock up. Georgia rolled back inside the ring by Crystal. Crystal Gabor moves in, locks up Georgia Washington. Kick to the midsection, DDT center ring again. And here we go. The booty popping moonsault. Crystal Gabor's big time finisher. There it is. And that could be the end right there. Here's a cover. 1, 2. Whoa! No! Georgia Washington somehow, some way, finding a way to get that right shoulder up. Crystal Gabor fails to connect with her move. Crystal rolls out of the way. Georgia Washington counters with an elbow. Crystal Gabor evades. Oh, catches another elbow instead. Another kick to the chest from Georgia Washington. Crystal Gabor shoves her away. Georgia with a slap. A right. Has her up. Rib breaker from the Yankee Rose. Georgia Washington trying to keep the momentum on her side here. Another head scissor to Crystal Gabor. And Crystal Gabor is struggling. Georgia Washington has it locked in really well. Georgia releases the hold. Crystal Gabor in big time trouble as Georgia Washington really begins to apply the pressure. And momentum is starting to fade away for Crystal the Pistol. Swing and a miss from Georgia Washington. A hard right spins her around. Georgia goes behind. Whoa! Crystal Gabor turning it into a bulldog. Slams Georgia Washington's face into the canvas and now into an armbar. The referee checking Georgia Washington. Crystal Gabor stretching the arm and shoulder of Georgia Washington, releases the hold herself. A battle of submission moves here. Another beautiful crossbody from Crystal. Here's another cover. 1, 2, and yet another near fall. Georgia Washington somehow just keeps finding her way out of danger. Crystal Gabor with a rolling leg drop across the throat of Georgia Washington. Here we go. Whoa! Crystal fails to connect with that splash. Georgia Washington going to exploit the mistake if she can. Takes herself to the top turnbuckle. Crystal Gabor moves in. And whoa! A drop kick from Crystal puts Georgia out on the floor. Crystal Gabor out there after her. Delivers a kick to the back as the referee starts counting. A kick from Georgia Washington. Crystal back on her feet, locks up Georgia. Drives her into the ring steps. Crystal Gabor absolutely ruthless here. Over the shoulders of Georgia Washington. Slam face first into the floor with a flapjack. Georgia with a slap, a second, a shot, another left. Up over the shoulders again. Slam down. Classic wrestling takedown from the Yankee Rose. Georgia Washington trying to snatch away the momentum again. A knee breaker to Crystal Gabor. Georgia Washington takes her down. Drives a knee into the leg of Crystal Gabor on the outside. The referee continuing to count. Georgia Washington taking full advantage of Crystal Gabor on the outside as the referee continues to count, administering as much punishment as humanly possible. Crystal Gabor spun around by a hard right. She counters with an elbow, locks up Georgia, gets her back inside the ring. At long last, Crystal Gabor moves in. Georgia Washington locks her up, kick to the midsection, sets up for the falling neckbreaker, and there it is. And Crystal's taken several of those in this match. Georgia Washington winds it up again, and here's the figure 4 one more time. Crystal Gabor in big trouble trying to hold out as best she can, but Georgia with the back arched. Crystal Gabor tapping out, that is it. Georgia Washington defeating Crystal Gabor by submission. And I can't, oh, look at this. That's absolutely unnecessary, disgusting.
Here's the time, 9 minutes and 58 seconds. Your winner, by tap out, Miss Georgia Washington.
The sheer volume of the negative energy being hurled at Georgia Washington by the crowd in Raleigh this evening is all the story you need to hear. An upset win by submission over Crystal the Pistol Gabor, and the fans are not receiving this outcome well at all.
And why the hell should they? There's what, maybe a handful of fans in the stands that are fans of the Yankee Rose? Everyone figured Crystal Gabor was going to win.
And she's been exploiting that figure for a lot more since beating China with it. Real charming, that stanky Yankee Rose. More rage right after the break.